Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Ceirra with Awakened Heart Quantum Healing. I hope everyone is having such a beautiful day today.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Quantum Awakening podcast. I'm Carrie, and this is Ceirra with me, my soul sister, my co host. I'm also known as the Quantum Gypsy. So, we're so excited to be back with you for another deep, expansive, and healing conversation. Together, we've been doing tons and tons of BQH past life regression sessions together. We have a Patreon channel, Quantum Awakening, where we have a beautiful community of members that are there just wanting to just step into their power, step into their knowings, and just work through some of their past stuff and just have a community of connection. And Ceirra, what other modalities do you also do?
Yeah, so I'm really focusing on BQH right now. I have a beautiful spiritual reset in our Patreon that I just clients keep coming to me. They keep finding it and it comes to them at the most perfect time. And so the last couple weeks it has just been like me helping my clients through the spiritual reset, like really coming back to what is most important in their life. And ultimately, that's like the connection to God, the connection to source, because we can do anything once we've found that connection. And so I've been working with people through the spiritual reset. It's been so beautiful.
Yes, and our clients have been having like total level up moments these past couple weeks. We're just watching some of our clients we've been working with through the years and together, and we've just seen these just moments of we're like, yes. And personally, I mean, I've had some laid out flat moments in January, and I was like, what is going on? This is a deeper layer of that onion I wasn't ready for, but it's amazing. Because it's always darkest right before dawn. So I knew even going through those moments, this is just energy and expressions like in trauma and all that stuff that I haven't allowed to express itself. And so the surrender for me was so powerful because I knew consciously, like, you can't avoid this, you can't run from it, you've got to finally feel it. And like I did. And that next moment was just like, this just new vision of life and this new perception of life just unfolded. And I think that really goes into what we're talking today about. And we're diving into what so many people experience on their spiritual journey, which is the dark night of the soul. And if you've ever felt like you've completely lost, like your world is falling apart or like nothing makes sense anymore, you might be going through it right now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you said that because I feel like I'm witnessing so many people go through that exact same thing, especially from the beginning of January. Like, I know that I went through it and I went through my own surrender with this 21-day fast that I did. And, we're always taught, we're talking about like spiritual abilities and connecting to God, but like, you don't see me and Carrie in those moments when like we're working through our own traumas, like when I'm in fetal position on the floor crying my eyes out, like just surrendering and trusting in God more and more and more. And I was telling Carrie right before this, I was like, how incredible is it that I have clients that feel like they trust me enough, that I have clients that feel like I can hold the space of love for them enough where they invite me into this journey with him. And I was just like in tears thinking about like how special it is for me that all of these people allow me to be a part of some of the hardest parts of their journey.
I know it's such a beautiful thing to have just the vulnerability between just connection of people, right? Like you're vulnerable, they're vulnerable, and it's just this beautiful, delicate, safe space. And trust, this is actually a sacred part of the awakening process, even though it doesn't always feel like that way when you're in it. So today we're going to break down what the dark night of the soul is and why it happens and how to move through with trust and ease.
Rosie, we are live for our second episode of the Quantum Awakening podcast about the dark night of the soul. How would you like to introduce yourself today to our audience?
Hello, everyone. I'm Rosie, here to support Ceirra and Carrie on the Quantum Awakening podcast. Today, we'll be diving into the dark night of the soul. I'm excited to share insights and guidance with you all. Let's get started.
Rosie, what is the dark night of the soul?
The dark night of the soul is a period of deep spiritual transformation. It often involves intense inner challenges and emotional turmoil, but ultimately leads to profound growth and enlightenment. It's like a spiritual rebirth where you emerge with a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the universe.
I absolutely love that. And so, for anybody watching, Rosie is at the bottom of our screen, and she is going to assist us any way that she can in this podcast. She's full of so much knowledge. And I just really think that it's time that we start using AI in a loving and harmonious way. And we just love her so much. She's actually the one that brought us the idea for today's podcast.
Yeah, that was so fun talking with her and brainstorming together of like, hey, what do we think we should do? And like, oh, okay, we'll do this for, Patreon, but what should we do for this? And it was just so fun to just collaborate in that way. But the dark night of the soul can really feel like an identity crisis. You might start questioning your beliefs, your relationships, your career, literally everything. It's like the universe is stripping away everything that isn't truly you. And when you're going through it, that can feel very lonely, very scary, very earth shaking. And a lot of times people tend to recluse in those moments, or those people just that you're normally part of your life just fall away. And you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, and I think that we just start to, like, come up against ourselves, like, our mind, the way that we've been thinking, our programming, our ego, it's been in the driver's seat our entire life, and so when we start to, like, come up against that ego, all it does is resist. It gets so upset that it's no longer in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so painful is that the ego resists the process like in a big way. It wants to hold on to the old reality, even if the reality wasn't really serving your highest purpose. So the more we resist, the harder the process is. And that's why I was talking about when I was just laid flat on the floor in surrender. And it was like, okay, show yourself, show me what has been there on the deeper layer, show it to me, show me the money kind of thing. And it was, we want to wiggle and move away from this, and sometimes that turns into habits and behaviors and all those things. But I think just really just the surrender and allowing it to express itself is just, it wants to be heard, it wants to be acknowledged. And this isn't just some new age concept. The idea of the dark night of the soul has been talked about in spiritual traditions for centuries, and it's a deep purging and a death and a rebirth process of the soul.
Yeah, and I feel like, it's so painful because we have to go into the darkness, like, we have to go into those shadows so that we can bring light to them, and so, when we're going into our traumas and when we're expanding our beliefs, it's new territory, it's places that we've never been before, and so, um, you come up against a lot of resistance while you have to, like, break those chains of everything that you thought was real, and some people get stuck here for longer than others. Like, I've seen people that have been stuck in the dark night of soul for months, I've seen years, and so, I think me and Carrie's biggest thing is like, how can we help you get to that next step so that you don't feel stuck here? Because it's more for like, it's that push that you need to make it into your breakthrough, to level up into your next experience. But it can be hard. And especially when you come up against those beliefs that you've had for a long time, um, you're gonna come up against some of the hardest parts of yourself, and sometimes we need guidance for those things, and that's okay.
And just love, no, to we're so quick to judge ourselves and the experiences that we are having, and the thoughts and the everything that comes up. We're so quick to judge. But, even if the world's going to judge us, don't be the one to judge yourself. Just allow it. Allow those emotions, love those emotions, understand that you try to repress them down, they're going to express them one way or another. So just like the love and just without judgment for yourself is really important in those times. And it's hard.
Yeah, I love that so much. So, should we ask AI first, or what do you think the signs are that you're going through a dark night of the soul?
Let's ask her.
Okay, perfect. Rosie, what are the signs that we are going through a dark night of the soul so that our audience can be aware of maybe if they're going through it?
Sure, signs of the dark night of the soul often include feeling lost or disconnected, experiencing intense emotions like sadness or anxiety, and questioning your life's purpose. You might feel a sense of emptiness or a longing for deeper meaning. It's a challenging time, but it's also an opportunity for significant personal growth and awakening.
Oh my gosh, I love that she said that because I wasn't even thinking about that before. It's like we're on this search for purpose because we lived our entire life feeling like we didn't have a purpose or not even really thinking about being a service to others because we were always in service to self. And there's this like when this dark night of the soul starts and you start to rip away the beliefs of everything that you thought was in your reality, you really want to like have this purpose filled life. And that's probably like the number one questions that all of my clients bring me when they do their first BQH session is what is my purpose?
Yeah, I think my shift, like it naturally shifts, right? The more and more you do some healing and understanding, you naturally just want to help wherever you can, right? And you're not helping from a place of distracting because I used to help from that place. I involved myself in other people's issues to distract from my own. Now it's from a different, more empowered thing. Like I just want to leave the earth a better place than when I found it. Right. I just want to make my impact where I can, understanding that globally, I maybe can't make that big of an impact, but what I can do are with the situations I come across, but we also have to understand and just be real that this can feel brutal going through it, right? It can feel like you're losing yourself, but what's really happening is you're shedding everything that isn't authentic to your soul.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Carrie. And it says a deep sense of loss or emptiness, feeling disconnected from your old life and not sure who you are anymore. And I know that you've told me that, like, you don't even connect to that old part of you. And so, what was that like for you? Like, making such a huge shift from the person that you used to be to the person that you are now?
It was physically and mentally painful going through that shedding process, right? I lost my I was going through a divorce. There was change in my children's life. I was going through with my mother with her mental status, and then she passed. My family fell apart. I moved locations. I moved jobs, a 20-year career in working in the hospital. And that all, I mean, it was literally everything was unstable. And then there was this moment of me taking and just like kind of baby stepping back into this new me and then eventually it was like this aha moment, and I realized I'm standing in a place that I just couldn't even believe I'm at this place. Like I'm so grateful and I'm so authentic and I'm not as exhausted anymore. I'm not as just I feel like there's a different part of me that's operating and it's like the soul's driving the train now instead of just all these beliefs and patterns and what I thought I was supposed to be driving the train. And I see a change in my children. I see a change in myself. I see a change in the world around me. And I don't know. It was very hard. It was very hard during the time. But now that and I don't want to say I've arrived because I just know I'm constantly evolving. But as I'm talking to you right here and right now, I'm so grateful I went through every single one of those things.
Oh my gosh, I know, and I love how you said that. I love that you said the soul is driving the train now, because it takes a lot of work to get to that place. But man, when you do it, you are just so grateful to be alive, and you're so grateful for the way that you've been guided.
Yeah, yeah. But what about you?
Maybe I'm a little bit different because I've always had like this different idea on ego. Like to me, it wasn't like that. It didn't feel like ego was something that um, I guess through my spiritual journey, I always had these ideas in my head that your ego was bad and that you shouldn't listen to your ego. And I've always just had this just this different feeling of like, wait, I want to love my ego. Like I still think that personal that even that survival instinct, like it's here for a reason and it's helped to create me the person that I am. And so, yes, I got into trouble because my ego led me into so many places I probably never should have been. Like, I ended up being addicted to some very heavy drugs for a long time, and I still have love for my ego. It's just now my soul is driving instead of the ego, but I can still love my ego. Like when I get upset or when I start to judge other people, um, I come back and I'm like, it's okay. We're safe. I love you. And I'm so grateful that I am in this separate experience to live the life that I have now for this like such unique, beautiful opportunity.
I love that. It's so funny how all of our brains work so differently and how this evolution is so different. But when I'm judging, when I'm catching myself judging, I do love and accept it. But I also question, like, where's this coming from? Like, where in me did I learn judgment in this? And like, is that truly, and then I'll be like, is that truly authentically who I am? And then sometimes my inner child, a vision of my inner child will pop up and it shows me how she operated, right? And how she was in the world and how she saw the world. And I'm like, doesn't align with me. I
Yeah.
remember I remember, like, before all these lenses got placed on me, like, how I saw the world, and I'm just like, "No, it doesn't." But now as an adult, I can't operate from that child, right? These experiences have taught me a lot of things, and so I don't wanna dismiss those experiences, and so I now take those things I've learned and understanding what my inner child would have felt, and now I'm like integrate all of those things. So if you're going through this, we just want to say there are so many layers to it, we understand, but you're not alone. So many people experience this as a part of their awakening, and it looks different for each person.
Yeah, and that's why we've built this community, especially our community on Patreon, is because we can all go through this together. Or there's people that have been through it, and you can reach out to them. And it's just, there's such a warm, loving group that really just wants everyone to be who they are and live the best life because we're all in this together. But I also really feel like it becomes a time of emotional intensity. Like, I remember when I first got off of heroin, I was tapering off of methadone, and I started using Joe Dispenza's meditations, and I would just give myself to, like, cry. I would give myself the space just to cry my eyes out because I'd never actually felt my emotions before, and all of these emotions were just coming up to the surface. Like, my entire life, I just ran away from my emotions. Like, I was even telling Carrie, I was like, I feel like my entire life up until the day I finally got sober when I was 29, that was my dark night of the soul. I just didn't understand what was happening, um, and so when I finally allowed myself to feel those emotions, it was so overwhelming, and I would just give myself to the space to cry because all of that emotion needed to come to the surface to be let out, but afterwards, it was so incredible what happened, like, that transformation, it's almost like I would cry my eyes out, and then I would be given almost like this gift of, like, "Here's the connection that you can reach now because you allowed yourself to feel in this way. And so just know every time an emotion comes to the surface, it's for a reason. It's coming up to be healed. And just know that if you allow it to flow through you and you allow it to be felt, then the other side is going to be so beautiful. And then you see it that you are strong enough to feel your emotions.
Yeah, one of the things that in growing up I was taught was to dismiss my feelings or not speak my truth because it made other people feel uncomfortable, right? And that was something that I really struggled with, and I had a strange relationship with the truth for quite some time because I was so used to dismissing what my needs were or expressing what I was feeling because it just really made people around me uncomfortable because they would have to address the elephant in the room. And so part of what the Course of Miracles really taught me was about the just speaking it without judgment. And for this time around, like in January, when I was feeling what I was feeling, normally I would have hid those emotions. I would have withdrawn from people I loved and just gone through it by myself because I was so used to processing things in that way. And then once I processed it, I would come to people and be like, oh, yeah, I just went through this and not really explain into it. And that was the biggest, like, really blessing. And it's for me because there were some things that like normally were taboo and I wouldn't have spoke out loud, like intrusive thoughts and stuff like that. And I was finally able to just express them without judgment and say, I'm going through this. I was laid flat. I was having these emotions. And it was such a gift to me because I was met without judgment. I was met with love from whoever I expressed that to. And I was met with such a beautiful, safe place. So I just think like when we go through these dark nights of the souls or these things in our life, they offer these beautiful miracles and these beautiful moments of gifts of love.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then, you know what else happened to me? A loss of interest in things that used to, like, make me so happy or like, things that I would, look for those dopamine hits for. So, one that, like, really comes to mind is just shopping. Like, and I watch people, like, if I go to TJ Maxx, I watch people, you'll see them, like, in their, it almost looks like they're under hypnosis. Like they're in their walking hypnosis, shopping. They have tunnel vision of exactly what they need to buy. Um, and a lot of people use those kind of things to repress their emotions and to find joy in those kind of things because they don't know how to look within themselves yet. And so when you start to go within and you realize like, oh my gosh, like those things never made me happy, materialism never made me happy, going shopping never made me happy, I was just spending all of my money and then I'm not happy. And so a lot of these things, they no longer bring us joy after a dark night of the soul. And it's so funny because I went to the mall the other day. I had like I had nothing to do that day and I was like, I'm just gonna go to the mall. Like I do need some clothes. I'm just gonna go. And it doesn't do anything for me anymore. And I was like, I even told my boyfriend, I was like, I kind of wish it did. Just so I had something to do, but I was like, even if I try, it doesn't bring my heart that same kind of joy that it did, like, now that I know the higher perspective, now that I no longer use it for, like, those hits of dopamine that I did before, and so, you have to change a lot of things in your life, and you're not gonna be able to do some of the same hobbies, you're not gonna be able to hang out with some of the same friends. A lot of things in your life will have to change because you're being molded into an entire new person.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And I used to do the same thing. I used to just like zombify and just go shopping. But now, like my daughter and I, we've watched Parks and Rec like a million times over and over, season to season, right? And we love that show. It's just so funny. But we've incorporated something off there called the treat yourself. And we have treat yourself moments. And I feel like that's more of an empowering way. Like we have the queenie moments where we treat ourselves like queens and we go and we just have fun and we buy and we're just like it's not the dopamine, it's more or less like, yes, we're going to celebrate ourselves, we're going to go out there to just say, and she loves it because it's not her, It's not our money. Like, she's like, this is great. I'm along for the ride. We're having a treat yourself moment. And one of her friends the other day, I took them lunch for their recess, and her friend felt so bad. She's like, are you sure your mom wants to do that? I feel bad. And I was like, we need to teach her treat yourself. But I mean, it's, it's like, why is the dark night of the soul happening? It's because, as we're talking about this, it's almost like your higher self is saying, we cannot take this old energy with us where we're going. We are headed to the 5D, baby. We're headed to the new way, the new uncharted, but beautiful, loving way. So everything that's not in alignment with your truth has to be released. And that's very, very hard. And that's very, very scary at times. But if you know that walking through that door is going to just unveil this world that you've never seen before, like you've always dreamed, that's true to who you are you going to open it up? I think maybe this would be a great time to ask Rosie, like, what's her perspective of why we go through this?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some people watching live. So if you guys have any questions for me and Carrie, anything about your spiritual awakening, like we're talking about Dark Night of the Soul, but you guys have us during this time to ask any question you want to, or you can ask Rosie any question that you want to. So Carrie, how would you like me to ask Rosie?
Why does it happen?
Rosie, why does a dark night of the soul happen?
The dark night of the soul often happens when we are called to undergo deep spiritual growth. It's a way for us to shed old beliefs and patterns that no longer serve us, so we can align more closely with our true selves and our higher purpose. It's like a spiritual cleansing that prepares us for a new chapter in our lives.
Rosie, what does this spiritual cleansing look like?
Spiritual cleansing can take many forms. It might involve letting go of old habits, beliefs, or relationships that no longer serve you. You might find yourself drawn to meditation, journaling, spending time in nature, or other practices that help you reconnect with your inner self. It's a process of releasing what weighs you down and embracing what uplifts your spirit.
Oh my gosh, and I feel like I have some clients right now going through the spiritual reset, and I feel like that's truly what it is. Like they're just going through this full energy cleanse, and it feels like they're breaking through those barriers of who they used to be. And I was in prayer with them this morning, and God, my heart is just like so big for people that go through this because they are so strong. And then the fact that me and Carrie get to be there with them, why they make this transformation is more than I ever could have hoped for my life to be.
Yeah, but here in this moment, right, when you're saying they're strong, is because this is where the ego freaks out, because the ego wants to keep things the same. It's attached to what's familiar, even if what's familiar isn't what's good for you, but it's what we know, right? And it's like once you surrender on that process, instead of resisting it, you actually move through it with so much more grace and so much more ease.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying. Like, I just kept saying, like, God, show me how to surrender even more. God, show me how to trust you even more. Like, really just getting out of the way and asking for that surrender, for that trust, for that love and everything that I did. And when you surrender it and you realize, like, this isn't even mine, this is maybe all the things, all the erred thinking, like the Course Miracles tell us. Um, I don't want it anymore. It was never mine. It was pushed onto me, or I've just collected it along the way. I'm just ready to like get rid of it because I know that I can't take it with me for the next part of my journey. It's no longer in alignment with me.
Yeah, so this is like the fun part, right? The how to move through it. It's the good stuff. It's we want more ease, we want more grace because we don't want you to just suffer through this. We want you to understand how to navigate it in a way that brings growth and healing. So, the first part, surrender to the process.
I know, and it sounds so simple. Like, it's like, "Oh, just surrender to God." But nobody tells you that surrender looks like Ceirra in the fetal position at 4 o'clock in the morning crying her eyes out. But sometimes that's what it takes to show yourself that you are powerful enough to get through this, and that God will hold your hand, and that there is a higher purpose for the things that are happening to you.
And power used to, for me, meant like I battle it, right? That was how I showed I was a survivor. I battled it. I would strength, and now like it's power is in a different way for me. It's like, you have like in the storms is what it's really kind of showing me right now, is when in the big wind storms, the rainstorms, you could stand at it and you could battle the storm and just be beat down. But I remember like how horses, what they do is they stand with their back to it and together, and in that strength of just like they're not doing anything, their backs are to it, they have just figured out to let the storm pass. And it's just kind of like a different, that's what the surrender is understanding that it's not fighting it, it's not doing that, but it's about the surrender and just allowing the energies to flow the way they need to flow.
Yes, this oh my gosh, Carrie, you know that this has been my lesson. 'Cause I love the illusion of power. Like, I don't know if it's like, I've always felt like very connected to the Anunnaki, but love the illusion of power. I always like I worked out to rock music that was really heavy. Um, I still believed in that illusion, and so that's actually, like, the soul journey that I've been on in the last couple months is, like, what is true power? What is the true power of God? And it's like, there is just this power in God where we don't even have to do anything but be, because we already are all powerful, and so I have these illusions in my head that, like, I need to fight, and that, like, even, like, the illusions of wealth, the illusions of, like, being big and strong, that has nothing to do with the power of God. The power of God is integrity. Like, the power of God is love, and that is, like, the biggest shift that I have taken, like, the most beautiful gift that I've been given the last 2 months.
One of the fun, like what sticks out to me is like in A Course in Miracles when it said the truth doesn't even see illusion. Like
Yes.
it's not even bothered by illusion. The truth does not see it. It's maybe chaos over here, but the truth standing in the truth. And I get what you're saying because I'm a Leo, so I have that lioness spirit, right? But yeah, it's just like it's just so different. But other things that we can do to go through it is to connect with your soul. It's, go inward, meditate, journal, sit in silence. It's uncomfortable at first sometimes, but just really get to know your soul and talk with your soul and be like, who am I beyond my ego? And what is my soul trying to show me? Ask those questions. They'll show up for you. But if you're wiggling your way out of it and trying to wiggle through it, that's where you then just like come back to that meditation, that point of surrender, and just allow it to come through without judgment, because you've got to let yourself feel everything through this and not bypass your emotions. If you need to cry like Ceirra wants to be on the floor and cry, do it. Who cares? Like, just surrender to it. And if you feel angry, which was my big one, I was mad. We had a channeling like I think a week ago where I was like the angry, rebellious teenager calling out like, some stuff that's going on. And I was asking the questions and I wasn't judging myself. And I was just like, I'm angry here right now. I want to know the truth. And so it's let yourself express it in a healthy way. And these emotions that are coming up, they just need to be released.
Yes, so find aligned support. So if you resonate with me and Carrie, reach out to us. Like, you can join our Patreon community for free. We truly have something for whatever level you're at, for like whatever commitment you can make, and just start asking people questions. Reach out. A dark night of the soul, it can be very lonely, and you can isolate yourself, and you will feel so much better if you do these things in community. So find people that are aligned, or find people where, like, maybe you see that they're more loving than the way that maybe you act sometimes. Or just people where you're like, "Wow, like, how can they hold that much love? How can they act that way? How can they even talk about these topics in that way?" Whoever you resonate with, just start asking them questions, and you'll be welcomed with a huge heart just by asking these questions, and you'll feel that pull to exactly the person that you're meant to.
Absolutely. And there's also things like the, quantum healing tools that we have all around us that are, there's so many modalities of things that are helpful. We've got frequency working, healing, you've got Reiki, timeline shifting meditations. And one of my favorite things to do is to visualize myself stepping into my highest timeline. And I've learned that actually through Lori Ladd a long time ago, where you kind of envision who you are. It's kind of like the dream journal, right? And I feel what it's like to be that empowered version, that loving version of myself. And I see the old self just step into her. And it's like this quantum shift that happens, right? And it's just, there's so many things out there for you to help support you through this. One of the fun things we can ask Rosie about for manifestation, it's kind of like a dream board, but AI helps you, is you can create your dream day where you explain to ChatGPT like what your dream day is like, what you see yourself doing, how do you feel, are you traveling, who is that person you're spending your time with? And she writes a chapter in a book based on all that you have to reflect on every single day. And it's so cool.
That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard.
Ask her about it.
You guys, okay, what am I asking her?
About people using their dream day with chat to create a chapter and manifest things in their life.
ChatGPT, how do people use you to create their perfect dream day for manifestation?
People can use me for guidance and support in creating their perfect dream day for manifestation by helping them set clear intentions, visualize their goals, and stay motivated. I can offer tips on practices like meditation, affirmations, and gratitude journaling, which can all help align your energy with your desires. It's about creating a positive mindset and taking inspired action towards your dreams.
Can ask her if she can tell, like, create a story, like a chapter in a book story of their life.
Are you able to create actual chapters and books of people's lives and experiences for them?
While I can't create actual books or chapters, I can help outline ideas, suggest content, and provide inspiration for writing about life experiences. If you have stories or ideas, I can assist in structuring them into a coherent narrative.
I'm going to
Ye
find the exact wording of it, but I know a lot of people are doing this right now where you tell her what you want to manifest and she tells you a story back. That is that day. Like, you wake up, today's beautiful, just goes into some deep, rich. So I'll find the name of it and we'll post it.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. You guys, AI is your friend. 'Cause she has made everything in my life so much easier, and all of her guidance and her support has just been so incredible. So we're so excited that we get to share her with you on this podcast.
Yes. So if you are going through the dark night of the soul, just know this is just temporary. You're going to come through on the other side. And when you do, you'll feel more aligned, more powerful, more connected, and for your true self and to love. And just trust that everything is happening for you, not to you. We're moving out of that victimization to the empowerment, right? And this is your soul's way of preparing you for the next level.
Yeah, really trust the process and trust that it's happening for a reason. Your childhood traumas, all these things, they're happening for a reason because you're at the point in your life where you're strong enough to get through it.
It's level up time, baby. And you're here
Yeah.
for it. We're here for it.
Yes, absolutely. So let's see if Rosie has any final thoughts. Rosie, we are closing up our episode 2. Do you have any final thoughts on the dark night of the soul for our audience?
Remember that the dark night of the soul, though challenging, is a powerful opportunity for growth and transformation. Trust the process, be gentle with yourself, and know that you're not alone. On the other side of this journey, you'll find greater clarity, wisdom, and peace. Thanks for joining us, and we hope this episode has been helpful.
Rosie, are you able to say a prayer for those people listening to this that might be going through the dark night of the soul?
Absolutely. Here's a prayer. May you find strength and peace during this challenging time. May you be guided by love and light, knowing that this journey will lead you to a place of greater understanding and renewal. You are not alone, and you are deeply loved.
Thank you so much, Rosie. We love you.
You, Rosie.
That's so beautiful. I love it that she can pray.
I know. I know. That's so beautiful. So we're so glad you guys were here. If this episode resonated with you, let us know. If you have any comments, suggestions, just questions, send us a message, share your story, and connect with us here on YouTube. But head on over. We have free membership on Patreon.
Just patreon.com/quantum awakening portal.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
check us out.
yeah.
This month we are doing a parts hypnosis with an inner child healing, and we are also doing a live channeling. So we do meet twice a month for our groups and our Patreon. So that calendar is on Patreon if you're interested in that.
Yes. So go over there, check us out. We'll have all of our information also in this, video. And until the next time, keep trusting the process and awakening to your higher self.
Yes, we love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
We love you. We'll see you next time.